What am I doing with my life? What are any of us doing? Trying to meet our basic needs? Trying to meet the needs of our families? Win the respect of people we admire? Build numbers in a bank account? Will the world be better for my life having been lived?
Later.
See ya. Sailing from California to Hawaii. What a romantic idea.
I'm Tom. I'm a father of three. I'm 47 and I'm from San Francisco. This is the second day of my sailing trip to Honolulu from San Francisco. I was on vacation with my family in 2019 in Hawaii, and I saw some videos on YouTube of two guys sailing to Hawaii. First one is Sam Holmes, younger guy, younger than me anyway, did the trip in a Ranger 23, a small sailboat. The other guy I saw was Christian Williams, and he made his first trip in, I think, 2014 in a 32-foot Erickson sailboat. So that's what really planted the idea for me to sail from San Francisco to Hawaii. So the next thing I wanted to do was to try to take some lessons in how to sail a bigger boat, a keel boat. Had a good time. I took a 5-day course with some other neophytes, and we learned how to sail keel boats in the San Francisco Bay. I started hunting around for a boat of my own and didn't have a lot of context for what was a good or a bad sailboat, but Christian Williams was a fan of his own Erickson 32 sailboat, and I figured that would be a good place to start. After looking at a few older ones, I found a 1990 Erickson 32-200 sailboat that I bought. You realize pretty quickly when you own a used boat that the maintenance of that boat takes on a life of its own. It begins with a certain sort of inquiry.
But where to begin? Pick something small but important. How about the manual bilge pump? Take it apart, fix it, put it back together. Disassemble the boom, replace old components, reassemble and reinstall it. After 30 years, everything on a sailboat works, but it needs to be replaced. Overhaul the engine controls. Installing a new modern electronic system will mean disassembling the old one, building a new dashboard, learning some lessons about soldering, and getting everything put back together. Also, send it. Keep practicing. The San Francisco Bay affords many opportunities to learn lessons in seamanship. Don't run into that guy. Keep practicing. Go to the boatyard and pull the mast out. Install a new luff groove track. Modify the sails so that they will fit the new track. Rewire the mast. Install some new lights. New standing rigging. The ropes that hold the mast straight up in the boat. At sea, you can't steer the boat the entire time, so you need to install a mechanical autopilot called a wind vane. Learn to eye-splice single braid Dyneema rope to replace the rusted stainless steel cable lifelines. Keep practicing. Take a coastal cruise down to Half Moon Bay. Spend the night at Peeler Point Harbor. And on the way home, ding ding, hit a rock. I can't say I recommend this as a sailing strategy. You've got to go to the boatyard and pay people to tell you that you have problems that you didn't even know that you have, and then pay them again to fix the problems once they're revealed. While you're at it, take out the engine, replace the motor mounts. But then one day finally, she gets back together, fit as a fiddle. 2 years of complex little projects, all of which seem mundane by themselves, but if you're going to take a boat across the ocean, if the boat's not ready, neither is your trip. Learn to sew. My grandmothers would have been pleased, or at the very least, amused. Winch maintenance. New running rigging. Now, where were we?
I'm in the second day of my trip. I'm about 125 miles outside of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge and having beautiful weather. It's sunny, waves aren't too big, and I've got all the sails up.
The scary part, if there is one, is falling asleep at night. The ship continues on course under the guidance of the mechanical autopilot. and you think, or you try not to think, about what would happen if you struck a large whale or a shipping container. What would your order of operations be?
Let's see, today is Tuesday, June 14th. I'm about 400 miles outside of San Francisco. And I'm starting day 5. Days 3 and 4 were pretty rough. Heavy wind, unpleasant sea motion, and kind of crummy. But kind of feel better today, and doing all right. The boat's going the direction that I wanted to, and things are all in all pretty good. Approaching sunset on Tuesday, June 14th. And oh, look over here, it's a fellow mariner, the MSC Katie. She's 0.2 nautical miles long, 157 feet wide, and 43 feet deep. This boat showed up off my stern on the morning of June 15th. He turned on his AIS beacon just long enough to wake me up out of my slumber, but not long enough for me to see who he was. What was he carrying? Russian oil? The days blend together at sea. The flatness of the horizon is matched only by the relentless oscillation of the boat. Sunsets are worthwhile. Today is Thursday, June 16th. San Francisco is about 800 miles behind me. Honolulu is about 1,400 miles ahead of me. And we are on a beam reach. That really means that the wind is coming directly perpendicular to our path of travel. This is a good fast sail position for my boat. We're doing about 7 knots. We've got about 1 meter seas, about 15 knots of wind, and it's another beautiful day on the North Pacific. I had downloaded a number of podcasts before I left. I enjoy Ezra Klein from the New York Times. He had a number of guests trying to fathom what Vladimir Putin is trying to accomplish in Ukraine. Still not entirely clear if there's an answer. The other podcast I really like is Freakonomics with Stephen Dubner. A wide range of economics-related and market-related kind of social questions. I read Barbarian Days by William Finnegan, a memoir about surfing. I read My Year Abroad, a novel by Chang Rae Lee. I read Far Tortuga by Peter Matheson. And I read Hawaii by James Michener, which is an ambitious, if imaginative, work. Just about 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday, June 18th. Today was the first day I tried to go wing on wing, where the main and the jib are on opposite sides of the center line of the boat. It was mixed results. Winds are very light, so we've been wandering around a lot of squalls. This guy behind me is going to catch up probably in 20 minutes or half an hour. Squalls out at the sunset line. Squalls over there to the south. Meandering our way across the North Pacific. June 19th is a happy day. It is Father's Day, and I was given some gifts before my departure from my family, and I can't wait to open those. Not only that, I'm nearly halfway there. We left Sausalito. I had 2,090 nautical miles to Diamond Head, and now I'm at 10,050. So just 5 miles short of being halfway there.
Wednesday, June 22nd. Sunset. Thursday, June 23rd, 9:41 Pacific Standard Time. 560 nautical miles from Honolulu. All right, today is Friday, June 24th. I turned on the engine to warm it up for about 4 or 5 minutes. This is still dark out entirely. And after it warmed up, I put it into gear. Engine died suddenly. And it wasn't like a sputtering, like when an engine runs out of fuel. It was all of a sudden, it was as if it had been gripped. So I looked around the cockpit and I noticed all the ropes that I normally expected to see, except for my furling line. The furling line is the rope that allows me to spool in my front sail, my jib sail. So I went up front to check it out. So at this point, I'm pretty sure that the furling line is wrapped around the propeller under the boat. I'm about 500 miles off of the coast of Hawaii, so there isn't really a place to pull up to a dock. All right, here's my sea anchor. I've got a little Danforth dinghy anchor on a line that's looped out about 100 feet and then tied off on either cleat at the stern. But I got the boat slowed down to between 0.2 and 1.2 knots. That's good. I've got 2 ways off and on of the boat. I've got this at the stern. I've got where my swim ladder normally would be. I had to remove it to install my wind vane. And then over at my gate, I've got a little step tied on. All right, I got goggles. I got a little dive light. I've got my reefing knife and a camera. My first goal is to figure out if I can see what's going on under there with the rope. Not so bad. I think I can get that in about 2 or 3 dives. I was able to remove the rope and scramble back on board relatively easily. Saturday, June 25th, becalmed. 450 miles northeast of Honolulu. Doing 0.4 knots. The wind should fill in about 18 hours. Had one squall that blew for about an hour, made a couple of miles. Other than that, slow going. It's this marvelous taxonomy of clouds you never get on shore, with all the different types, cirrus and cumulus and high ranging and far off in the distance squalls, tracing precipitation to the surface of the ocean. The biggest sky one could imagine. Showering on a small recreational sailing yacht. If you're going to clean yourself up in this space and you were 6'4" and 220 something pounds, you have plenty of room to stand up and stretch out and really enjoy yourself, right? You wouldn't have to sit on that toilet seat and try to wash your extremities in some bizarre fashion. Oh, I'm still alive. Hey, Are you sure that we are awake? It seems to me that yet we sleep, we dream.
Hey, is this thing hooked up to the World Wide Web? It is? Sounds like it's showtime. Well, hey, good morning there, Yautube. I'm Bobby Shrub here, Robert J. Shrub Maritime Services Incorporated. Sent old Bobby down here to this sailboat with a work order. It says here, take a look at this Yanmar engine. Well, all right, let's do that. I mean, I tell you what, I'm hotter than an armadillo's private parts on an Oklahoma interstate in the month of July. I tell you, it's a steaming one out here. But we're looking at this here Yanmar. Look at that. I like the sound of that Yanmar. Sounds Scandinavian, or maybe like Jan Michael Vincent, star of the television series Airwolf, about fighting bad guys with a helicopter. That's right, Yanmar. What's that? Well, all right, I've been told that Yanmar is not Scandinavian, but that it's actually Japanese. And hey, domo arigato for that one, Mr. Roboto. All right, well, let's take a look here what we got. Now, when I'm looking at an engine, I like to cast my eyes across it. First thing to do, like I do with my PT Cruiser back at home, is to identify where the sparkulators are that put in the lightning juice into the engine to make the kapow-pows. Now, let's see. Where they got them on this? Where the sparkulators? Are they down here on the side? Yeah. Oh, all right. Friends, I'm being told that this here does not have sparkulators because it is a diesel motor. And so there are no sparkulators. You know, it's funny talking about diesel motors. My cousin once had a truckload of cabbages and small children's clothes he was hauling from Oklahoma City to Seattle. And he was driving along in his truck, and he stopped over at a truck stop, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and you wouldn't but know it, but there was a girl there named Sapphire, and she had most of her teeth and seemed real nice. I tell you, they found him outside of Scottsdale with no pants, but nobody's real sure how that turned out for real. Now I'm going to endeavor to tell you everything you need to know about a small diesel engine here in just a few moments. See, the way this here works is that there's a fuel tank that's back there. It's behind, it's under a mattress somewhere. They got it hid. And then the dinosaur juice comes up through here, and it goes in the dinosaur juice filter over here. Now look here, look what we found. Uno, dos, trois. That's what I like to call half a six-pack of horsepower right there. Now when it explodes, the diesel turns the thing and turns the thing and turns this here guy, which is called a crankshaft. And the crankshaft spins around, and then the old propeller at the back of the boat, it turns. This here huffer pumper, which takes in the seawater and huffer pumps it out the back of the boat with a little bit of exhaust mix in. This here's what we like to call lightning maker. And it's connected by a belt. It's not the kind of belt you'd wear to a country dance, but it's a V-belt. It squirts the lightning juice out the back, out these here wires, and it squirts it into the little batteries back there. All you gotta do is you gotta keep feeding it the dinosaur juice. Oh, I tell you, it's a good day to be out here in the cockpit. It isn't breezing too much, you know. We just got the front flapper up. But when the sea is this flat, look at how flat that is. It's just a slow day out here in the Pacific Ocean. You know, you'd probably be better off with something like my cousin's ski nautique. It's called the Waveberry 9000, and he uses it. He's got one of those foil and wake something or others where you sit down on your tail, and then the boat pulls you until you fall, and then you have to go to the hospital. At least that's what happens to me. Well, it just happened the one time, and I learned my lesson. So, you know, a lot of people ask me, they say, Bobby, how these people out there on their sailboats, how they do their navigating? And I tell them it's real simple. You know, you figure out where you're going. And so I'll just wait until the sun, when it's going down, when the sun is about at like a 45 here to the right side of the boat. They call that the starboard side. When it's out at about a 45, then you're going the right way. And it's real simple. You just keep going that way until you smell the luau. At least that's what they told me.
And so that's pretty simple, you know. It does make it more complicated when the sun is straight overhead like it is now. I just keep rolling down the road, you know. I just keep going the way I'm going. And you know, if that doesn't work, I just turn on my Google Maps. Yeah, I tell you, this is a life. They really won't believe this story when I get back to the Waffle House. All right, now, I'm gonna try a little fishing here. Got this here fishing rig from my good friend Jeff Bezos from his shop there. You up there in the sky, Jeff? In your spaceship wearing your cowboy hat? I tell you, that's a good look. That's a good look, my friend. Anyway, they sold me this here thing. This is called a variation on a Mexican flag. Now, evidently, this is a good lure for catching tuna. Now, I've thought for a long time that tuna, they must be small fish because it comes in those small cans. But I've been doing a little reading, and it turns out that tuna, they're actually kind of big fish. If I catch a big fish and then I try to haul them in the boat, it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, the cockpit is going to look like a abattoir. Well, all right. Now we're sailing and we're fishing, not trying very hard at, you know, either one of them, but we'll see what happens. Bobby Shrub in a nutshell. Let's just say I woke up today smelling like America. Favorite band? Tell you that's pretty easy. Great American blues band, Led Zeppelin. All of them. It's got the deep South blues bass with a little bit of what's his name? J.R.R. Tolkien mixed in. Yeah. Great American band, Led Zeppelin. Favorite actor. I gotta say, Paul Hogan. I tell you, when he plays that Australian feller in Crocodile Dundee, and he says, what does he say? He says, knife? That's not a knife. This is a knife. I love that. Paul Hogan, great American filmmaker, actor, thespian. How do I what? How do I identify? Seems like it's kind of a strange question. I would have to say that I identify as being awesome. All right, pretty good double rainbow for a Monday morning. There it is over there. Pretty good flying fish for a Monday morning. 200 miles outside of Honolulu, got my jet plane contrails providing navigational aids.
Ohio, small road, colored lights in the night, find some hand to hold, let the car coast with no light. Oh yeah, kids move so slow, moon in the window and no girls on the floor. Oh yeah, kids move so slow.
It doesn't turn out to be a great green wall of rainforest framed by white puffy clouds, but there it is on the horizon, on the evening of the 19th day, Molokai. Tomorrow, Oahu. In the morning, first Cocoa Head, and then Diamond Head come into view. Waikiki waits around the corner. The recreational yachtsman is aware of his position of privilege in the world, so that when he is approaching a narrow harbor entry and finds himself after 20 days confronted with a sailing camp of 12-year-olds, He merely smiles and waves and keeps his true feelings about the situation to himself.
You know, what would it be like to go to Mars? You put yourself out there in this desolated wasteland, effectively, by yourself for a long time, very limited communication, and you only have yourself to rely on, and you kind of figure out what's important and what isn't. And you know, some of the answers I think I already knew, but I missed my family. I missed fresh food. I missed exercise. I did not miss the internet. Books and podcasts really sustained me in my interest and my sanity for all 3 weeks. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's next. You know, it's gonna be something good. I hope something good. Could I what? Program artificial intelligence algorithms in a big data environment? Huh. Well, what are the hours?